Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
I've been thinking about the Sixers all day long. I've actually been pretty optimistic after seeing what they put on the court through the first 11 games. I don't think it's completely over and they're a mess and they're never going to do anything. I'm not to that degree. But I've been thinking about this team all day, trying to process what is going wrong, how can we fix this, what are some problems, are there any positives? It's just been rolling through my brain ever since I woke up this morning. Before we dive into the topics that I have for you, do not forget about the promo code BROADS that you can use at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your tickets. So you get to be entertained and you get to go to a game and save money. Yeah, that's a good deal. Use the promo code BROADS now. So the first topic has to do with Joel Embiid and his load management. Now, I'm all for load management at times. This is how the new NBA works. There's no reason to fight it, scream about, oh, back in my day, these players would play 82 games. Michael Jordan would never sit. Come on, grow up, all right? Just adapt with the times. Load management is a thing. I just believe 11 games in, considering the Sixers circumstances, it's not the right time to do it. It's just not the right time to do it. There will be the right moments later on throughout the season, but because of the struggles, because this team needs to adapt and come together and find rhythm and run up and down the floor together, they need to all be playing. Because Ben Simmons got hurt. He missed a few games. Al Horford rested. Embiid, he rested one game because of an ankle. Then he got suspended 2 games. Now he's sitting on the second half of a back-to-back. The squad is all over the place and lost. It would help if the starting 5 was playing legit minutes together consistently early in the season. I knew it was going to be hard to adjust as a team. Everyone expected the squad to go out there for the first time and everything to just gel completely. It was inevitable that that wasn't going to happen. They were going to need time to figure out where players play, what their strongest suit is, how we're going to develop this type of offense, who's going to be the second unit, when are we going to rotate. There was going to be so much to learn because you're throwing so many new guys on the floor together. But that's why Joel Embiid sitting is a problem to me right now. They want to save him and rest him for the playoffs. But I think it's important to get this team on the right page so we can at least make a legit run in the playoffs first. Isn't that more important? Last season, Embiid was so fatigued late, and they blame early in the season, playing back-to-backs, logging in so many minutes. And I believe there's actually a stat that shows how many miles Joel Embiid ran last year. And for his body frame, it's mind-blowing. So yeah, that clearly does play a factor. But I can also relate this to a video I made a couple days ago about Joel Embiid coming into the season not prepared. We all heard about his diet and how much weight he cut, but he wasn't prepared enough for the start of this season. That can also play a factor in what happens later in May in the playoffs. Coming into the season more prepared, more in game shape than he does can have a long-term effect on the season and what type of state he is in physically down crunch time. In the playoffs. I know organizationally, and this is coming from the top, they want to baby Joel Embiid for the rest of his career because of everything that happened early on, and they want to make sure that he's able to compete late. Right now, with where this team is mentally, and with where this team needs to get to, right? Because they need to get to a way better squad than what they're at now. They need to develop as a unit. You can't be keeping your best player off the floor and just assume you're going to go into Orlando and win basketball games, even though you should. A Joel Embiid-less Sixers team, how they're constructed now, should easily go into Orlando and win. But clearly, after watching them play 11 games, it's important to find ways to get this unit rolling. So the load management, to me, it's a problem right now. It's useful. It's beneficial. You saw teams do it in the past, and you've seen it work. Specifically, Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors. But for the Sixers at this moment, it's not working because no one else is stepping up. Let's get to the lack of shooting. Teams are packing the paint and allowing the Sixers to have these wide open looks from three because they're at the bottom of the league when it comes to three-point shooting. But you have two options. You run off the three-point line and you try to attack the paint that they're packing with all of their players, or you take the wide open look. My mindset is these players are NBA players. You look at what they have done throughout their career, and numbers will tell you that Tobias Harris is not a 20% three-point shooter. So you play the number game, and you expect these NBA players to knock down shots. That's how my brain works. Now, you can do a little bit of both. I think if you have an open look in the NBA, you take the open look. Even if teams are giving it to you, you take the open look. These are NBA basketball players. I'm not asking me to go out there for the Sixers and jack up 40 three-pointers myself because they're leaving me open. I'm asking someone like Tobias Harris, who once shot over 40% from three. I'm asking Josh Richardson, who once shot a great clip from three. I want him to take those shots. People who have a track record of actually making it happen. But there's a good mix. There are times where I would like maybe to attack the paint more. Joel Embiid's presence will help that. 7-4 the Sixers are. 7-4. The Milwaukee Bucks are 7-3. The Clippers are 7-4. The Heat, which I didn't expect them to be this high, but right now they're 7-3. The Raptors are 8-3. If the Sixers were 7 games out of first and second place, I would think it should be more of an outrage. We're in the mix. I know the Celtics are 9-1. We beat them the first game, and then they went on this great run. They put together 9 wins. We're in the mix of our goal of first, second seed. We're not 10 games out of this. We're 7-4. It's frustrating. Issues are there. You look at Ben Simmons, and he's not looking at the hoop to shoot. It's frustrating. I know. That's probably the biggest concern of them all, really, because that's a long-term issue. And I got fooled completely with all the Instagram videos, and shame on me, because I've seen them before in the past, but this year it looked different. And then he had the preseason 3, but game time actually happened, regular season came, and he will not look at the basket whatsoever. He will not take a jump shot. I have no words to explain it, but for the millionth time, his ceiling is so damn high. It's almost impossible to move on from someone with that type of potential. But anyway, my point is, the Sixers are still involved with where they want to be at the end of the day. 7-4 stinks. When I say it like that, that's kind of funny. But 7-4 isn't where we want to be, is what I'm saying. But we're not 4-7. The teams above us are 7-3, 7-3, 8-3, and then the Celtics at 9-1, who I don't expect will keep this up all season long. Brett Brown is going to have to adapt. Enter the Brett Brown haters here. Here's the thing. The same people that hate Brett Brown, and I'm starting to, question a lot more than I ever have with Brett Brown, but the same people who are hating Brett Brown are the same people that think this roster stinks, it's flawed, Ben Simmons should be traded, and there's no spacing on the floor, and this team can't shoot a lick. Well, is it the fact that Ben Simmons should be traded and we don't have three-point shooting and this team stinks, or is it Brett Brown? Well, if it's all of them, if that's what you're claiming, it's all of them, then, oh, man, we're in big-time trouble, and you should have never even stated that this team was good enough to make an NBA final run to begin with. If the problem is Brett Brown and all of those issues that I mentioned, wow, should we start over? But that's not the case. Brett Brown needs to dial up some things, figure some stuff out. I don't think we're defending the pick and roll so well. I think squads are shooting at way too high of a clip from the perimeter against us. That needs to be addressed. I think we need to maybe figure out some offensive sets. But it is possible. And Joel Embiid being in the mix changes a lot for this team. I'm not trying to say it's an excuse, we didn't have Joel Embiid against the Magic. But the team seems to have a different personality and a different offense and definitely a different type of defense due to the fact that he can really defend the rim when Embiid is on the floor. For Tobias Harris, though, it's unbelievable that whoever comes to Philadelphia ends up having the yips, can't shoot, can't figure it out. Tobias Harris is completely lost in a mental state. How do you fix that? Keep shooting. Keep shooting. I would even like for him to get to the rack. I would. Just be aggressive, go to the rack. The three-pointers will come as you gain more confidence. Just go to the rack, get fouled, go to the free throw line. Just see the ball go through the hoop. And speaking of free throws as a team, there has to be more free throws as a whole. So that goes hand in hand with me saying if the three's open, take it, and teams are allowing the Sixers to pop threes all the time. So that's where I want there to be an adjustment with, yes, take the wide open looks, but there are also times where you can attack the rim out of that wide open look and make something happen. For example, the Golden State Warriors, when they're all healthy, and last year when they had Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, they were a phenomenal three-point shooting team. Absolutely, we all know that. Remarkable. Maybe one of the best ever. But were they also going to the free throw line? Yes, they were. There are so many teams that shoot a lot of threes that still find ways to get to the free throw line a lot. The first thing that comes to my mind is the Houston Rockets, which is laughable because James Harden jacks up threes all the time, yet he finds way to get contact, but he also flings his head back and flings his arms all around and whatnot, so he draws the fouls. But my point is, you can be a team that takes a lot of threes and a team that gets to the free throw line more than one time throughout 2 3/4 of a quarter. It wasn't the third quarter wasn't over, but it was deep into that third quarter and the Sixers still had one free throw. This was in that Orlando Magic game, by the way. So we do need to find ways to get to the free throw line more and get fouled. But teams are putting everyone in the paint, backing everyone in the paint, and forcing. So it's not like there's this big Red Sea wide open for the Sixers to go down the lane and it's just going to open up for us. They're putting everyone there to stop that, to force us to shoot. Going back to the Brett Brown thing, I just want to mention this because I find it funny. Look what the Warriors did. They fired Mark Jackson and brought in Steve Kerr. Look what the Toronto Raptors did. They fired their head coach of the year and brought in Nick Nurse. They also brought in Kawhi Leonard, the best player in the game. Talent wins in the NBA. You think Tyronn Lue was the greatest coach in the world? Or do you think LeBron James helped that out? And LeBron James is almost an outlier because, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, those type of players are at an elite. They're in an elite category. I understand that. But the point is, talent wins in the NBA. Coaches don't do as much as what people think they do. There are moments for coaches, out of timeouts, some of their offensive sets. When it comes down to it, When Kevin Durant's on the floor in the NBA Finals, Kevin Durant is making plays. Isolation ball, Kevin Durant is making a play. I mean, that's just what it is. There are plays that can help. NBA players, like, it's not football where Bill Belichick is coming up with this scheme and you need this elite head coach. Greg Popovich had Kawhi Leonard. Made a run, won finals with Tim Duncan and that whole crew, Ginobili. He loses those guys. He makes the playoffs, but what seed was he in? What round did he get eliminated in? Pop is a great coach, but talent is what brings you places. So that's why with Brett Brown, everyone freaks out, and that's the biggest problem. He needs to force Ben Simmons to shoot it. It's all laughable to me. Because what really matters is the players have to execute. The players need to make plays. They need to hit their open shots. Brett Brown has flaws. All right, Brett Brown has flaws. I know that. Can I question Brett Brown at times? Absolutely. Is he the man for the job? Only time will tell. But with this roster, another coach coming in, if Ben Simmons isn't going to shoot it, what changes? Are you going to want to fire that coach? If Joel Embiid is being told that there's load management and he comes in out of shape again, whose fault is that? If Tobias Harris, with a new head coach, shoots 0 of 45 from 3 in 4 consecutive games, should that new coach be fired? The players play. So that's where we're at right now with this Sixers team. Just a day after a game, just rambling some of my thoughts right now. The Sixers play the Oklahoma City Thunder Friday night. So we'll see what happens there. And then they play on Sunday, 3 o'clock against the Cavs. But the Eagles play at 4:25 against the Patriots. Who scheduled this one? What was the thought process behind that? I would like to speak with whoever scheduled that bad boy. See, it made sense when the Eagles had a bye to have the Sixers on, and that was a 6 o'clock game. It gave everyone something to watch. All right, here are the Sixers. That made sense. This one, it doesn't make much sense. Doesn't make much sense. And also, and I guess I'm going back to Brett Brown here, and this is actually a negative towards Brett after I just somewhat defended him, but, I don't know what Brett is. All right, this is what I'm just going to say. I don't know what Brett is. I just feel as if there are bigger issues right now with personnel and players playing over Brett Brown. That doesn't mean he's the guy, doesn't mean he's not the guy. I just think that there are other problems before him. Ben Simmons not shooting, Tobias not hitting shots, Joel Embiid in the load management, Joel Embiid not being in the best shape in the world, Al Horford missing shots, Josh Richardson. But anyway, I digress. Furkan Korkmaz getting 30 minutes a night, it's too much. Matisse Thybulle getting 11, Furkan getting 30. It just shows you how bad the spacing on the floor is for someone like Furkan to get that many minutes. But Furkan Korkmaz getting 30 minutes when he hits you 1-3, that's a lot. It's a lot. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts all around with where the Sixers are. Thank you so much for listening. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. See you next time.